And the apparition, and Jeremy talked about it too, that apparition, that full body apparition that y'all caught was stellar. I mean, there are people who's been in the paranormal probably 40 years and they have never caught anything like that. That was amazing.
As you could see, it blew our minds. There was no question that we all went, what?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Quest, a journey into true crime and the paranormal. I am Misti Gaither. I am a paranormal investigator, and I am just so thankful that you've decided to join me and watch this episode. And my guest, I am just so excited to have Sarah Lemos here. Psychic medium, a star of Ghost of Morgan City and at the Ghost Town Terra. I know that you are a psychic medium. You started really when you were 5 is when you started noticing that, spirits or, hearing things, seeing things.
I started noticing that I could see spirit when I was really young. And I shared it with my grandma because I shared everything with my grandma. And I told her that this man came through to me every single night and sat with me. And so my grandma wasn't very happy, went to my mom and was like, why the heck is someone coming and sitting with my granddaughter? And while she was getting frustrated, she pointed at the door and she said, how dare you let him come through that door? Well, he didn't come through the door, he came through the wall. So I said, just as a child would, he doesn't come through the door, Grandma, he comes through that wall. So that was one of my very first memories of people kind of looking at me like, sweetie, we don't tell lies. And I remember thinking, I'm not lying. This is what happens. I continued to see spirit through my teenage years and things like that, but didn't really communicate with spirit until I was in my 30s.
Was it like that you didn't accept your gift, or was it more like you didn't really have a support? Like a support that you kind of need to be like that to, to have that family structure foundation.
Yeah. My mom did the best she could with it. I think she herself is very gifted. And I think she started to notice things as I got older. I don't know that she knew how to help me exactly because she didn't know how to help herself. But she did her best. And so she taught me different things. She shared about her experiences, but I definitely didn't want to share it with my friends. And I couldn't help but experience things with them. So my friends would be at my house and they would actually see things. They would have experiences because it's just like I called them in. I called in the energy. And so it was there. So a lot of my high school friends experienced stuff with me because, well, you had to.
You're on this journey of, finding out, you said that when you was around 30, about really getting more into about your gifts and stuff. So how did that really impact like the projection of your life?
It took me up, spun me around, and dropped me. I thought I had gone to a therapist and said, all right, I have agoraphobia. Because I Googled. Yeah. And I knew something was wrong with me. Something was wrong with me because every time I went to a large supermarket, I got dizzy. I got overwhelmed. I would shake. I would sweat. I could not handle it. So I knew I was agoraphobic. And thank goodness that this therapist was like, sweetie, I don't think you're agoraphobic. I think you're psychic. And I remember looking at her like, who told you? Like, I remember that feeling of who told you? Somebody had to tell you. Somebody told you my secrets. Somebody told you. Mm-hmm. And it was amazing because she really informed me. She gave me books. She helped me. And the best way she could with what she had, as a therapist. But yeah, it spun me up and dropped me. And it totally changed my trajectory of life, where I was headed and what I was doing.
Now that's kind of unusual for a therapist, really, I think, to, to embrace
Yeah.
the other world. At the time, you were, I can't say not accepting it, but I think it may be that you really didn't know what to do with your gift. And, but I really think that you appreciated how, like, even though your mom, you said she did the best she could. The therapist did.
Yeah.
You had people who were like willing to help you with what they knew, and that's so important that that
Yeah,
they were
I
there.
think so too, but I'm not going to lie to you. I started reaching out in my community and was really looking for more people to help me with my mediumship skills versus my psychic abilities. So I started reaching out to different mediums around the area and really was shunned. I was told, you'll take my business. Literally, my heart was broken because I was seeing people walk through walls and I was experiencing spirits and I needed help. Thank goodness I was able to find a few people that were able to help me and support me in my community the best way they could by, again, offering up books. I took some Reiki classes and tried to expand myself the best way I could. But man, we're talking back when it was just Sylvia Browne on television. Like
Yeah.
we didn't have all these authors that we have now. It's amazing what we have now.
Oh yeah, because it's more accepted, it's more mainstream. Like you said, you had Sylvia Browne, and you also, I believe, went to Lisa Williams.
I sure did.
And I think that is so cool. And it's sad, and that people in the profession, you have taken the stand of mentoring.
Yes.
And to encourage others who have the gifts. And
yes.
I think it's sad that when people in the paranormal field do not do that, because it is a small community, and I think there's room for everyone. And
I do too.
Yeah, and so I really think that is really cool that you've took what you learned and what you needed, and you're doing better, for other people.
Trying, that's for sure.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Yeah, because sometimes I understand people, they don't want to give you like advice, or they give you just a little to make themselves feel better, because they're like, oh no, she might take, like you said, they didn't want you to take the money. And so in a way that's a compliment, because if they're psychic, they knew that you were gonna,
That's true.
They knew.
Yeah.
And so I think that's that's just a statement to, I just really appreciate your gifts, and watching you on TV and reading about you, and speaking of authors now and books, you wrote a book.
I did.
And
I did. Not many people bring that up, but my father and I worked together on a book. And I wanted to, this was a way for me to talk about the paranormal and metaphysics together. And what you can do, kind of my stories, things that I had experienced, but also how to take care of yourself as a paranormal investigator and someone that's new to metaphysics.
Yeah, because it was actually about sage in your home.
Yep.
And a lot of people do not know the importance of saging, and kind of expounding on how that the California white sage.
I just have a love. I don't mind pine sage. There's a lot of different sages you can work with, but I love California white sage.
How can people get in touch with you if they want a reading or to learn more about you? Where would they go?
Yeah, or classes or whatever. You can always check out mediumsarahlemos.com. All my information is found there.
Okay. Now, I'm excited about the Cajun Country Paracon that's coming up March the 23rd. You're a special guest there. Also Dave Schrader, Shane Pittman, Jeremy Leonard, who was also on The Ghost of Morgan City here in Louisiana with you. Jeremy has been on my show also. I was rewatching it. I've seen it so many times, but I was rewatching it last night. And the apparition, and Jeremy talked about it too, that apparition, that full body apparition that y'all caught was stellar. There are people who's been in the paranormal probably 40 years, and they have never caught anything like that. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was quite an experience, it, as you could see, it blew our minds. Like there was no question that we all went, what? And Ben found that, I try to emphasize this, on accident. So Ben found it in real time because a train was passing by and moved the RV that he was sitting in, our RV, and he turned and looked at the computer screen, and as he did, the apparition walked by.
I mean, just amazing. And you should check out the Ghost of Morgan City on Discovery Plus, and you will see that amazing catch. Now, the RV is the ghost coach.
That's right.
Yeah. So, and also you went on, tell me about the cruises. To me, that would be amazing, that it's everything paranormal and you get to go to different countries and meet so many people. Tell me about that.
Yeah, I got to work with Ghost Hunter Cruises for 6 years, and it was amazing. We traveled all around the world, going to different paranormal ports, and different land tours where we did investigations, learned about the paranormal. It was really cool. And that's actually where I met Ben Hansen. Okay. So I would have never been on Ghost of Morgan City if Ben Hansen hadn't joined us for one of our tours. And I met him there and gave him a reading. And so he wanted me a part of the team.
So you would be on the ship how long?
So it depends, right? So it would be, sometimes we would do a 5-day cruise. Sometimes we do a 7-day cruise. Sometimes we would arrive prior to the cruise and do, like when we went to New York, we went around to all the Ghostbusters where they would film Ghostbusters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it was really neat. And then we stayed in a haunted location in New York City, and it was very haunted. But also when we traveled, we went to different, we went to Italy, France, and Spain. We went to Ireland and Scotland, Jamaica. So we went to a lot of different places, and at each stop, went to a paranormal location.
What was your favorite one?
The one that scared me the most, I think that's got to be my favorite, was when we were in Spain. I was in the bathroom and the door literally opened and was flung open, scared the tar out of me. What? But it was one of my favorite memories because I was, I said, I'm in here. And the door just flew open and it was like, nobody's there, or is somebody there? It was crazy.
Do you enjoy like the investigation more than doing the mediumship, or like I know they're compatible.
They are, but I really love going into a location not knowing anything and being able to use my skills to pull information from the land, the house, and the energies at the location. So I really enjoy that. I also enjoy trying to shut that down and being a part of the paranormal investigation, because I don't think psychic mediums should lead the investigation. That's why we have lead investigators. But I really like it when I'm able to just kind of shut down and watch other people work with equipment and their skill set in location also.
Now, do you have a special technique you do, like when you want to shut it off? Because not everyone can do that. And then,
well, I'm not going to say I can shut it off. I can shut it down.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. To be quite honest, like I can't really shut it off. It's always there. It's always kind of sitting with me. But sometimes if I focus on something, it will fade a little bit. So if I'm focusing on someone using a REM pod or using a voice recorder, if I'm in that with them and I'm focused on them, I can quiet the rest.
Got you. And you were also on Conjuring Kesha. How was that?
Yeah. Okay.
That was interesting. You enjoyed it, huh? More than really being on Morgan City and oh wow.
Yeah. So I've been on Ghost of Morgan City. I was on Ghost Town Terror. I was on about 6 portals to hell. And I did also an Osborne Night of Terror.
Yes.
But I really enjoyed Conjuring Kesha.
Yeah.
I really did. And I think the location was interesting, but it was more of reading the property because so much had happened there, and the history. I love history. I think you kind of have to in the paranormal, like the history of things is really cool.
That's what interests me too, because I think that when you investigate, there's always that chance that you're going to maybe find out something new, or maybe solve some kind of mystery, or have the answers to, questions that's been around for years. And you always have that hope, and that's what always, that's one of my goals, and I'm sure, a lot of people, that's what their goals are. And it's just the history of it, and just, the stuff that you find out is just, it's amazing.
Sometimes it's a little overwhelming, or I want to know more. Like, it's like, we've got 30 minutes, we got an hour, we got 2 hours in a location, whatever, and I want more.
What location would you like to go when you haven't been to?
I think I really want to go to the hospitals. I have a calling towards the hospitals. And I haven't been able to go to many hospitals. I've been to prisons. I've been to a lot of homes, a lot of places like that. But I want to go places with a lot, crazier history, to be quite honest.
The hospitals, would you consider like the asylums part of that? Yes.
Yeah.
Waverly Hills. You've been there?
Yeah. Oh, that's one of my tops.
Yes. I just love watching anything with Waverly Hills, because
me too.
That is just like 24/7 hardcore paranormal stuff happening all the time.
And anybody you talk to about it, it says that. Like, nobody goes, oh, no, not that one. Everybody goes, oh, if you get a chance, you need to go.
That's on my bucket list.
Yeah.
I have a long one with everywhere I want to go, Have you been to New Orleans before?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's actually one of the first tours that one of the tours I did with the ghost cruises. We actually went to New Orleans as one of our land tours.
Where did you go?
We just went, we did some of the night tours that you guys offer, and we did, and my understanding is they don't do them anymore, but the cemetery tours.
Yeah, they don't. A lot of them, the public can't get in at all. Yeah. Especially, I think the one where Marie Laveau, they have it.
Yeah, that's where we went.
Yeah, locked down. Yeah. As you know, New Orleans is just chock full of stuff. You can't even walk a foot, and there's something there.
I know it. Yeah, being a part of Ghosts of Morgan City, I always say I'm coming home. When I come back to Louisiana, I'm coming home.
Well,
it just feels that way to me. It feels like my place. It feels like everything is, for me, is exciting. It's beautiful. It's the parts of me that are curious are always piqued. Like, I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah. And, like I always say, New Orleans, that's it. You cannot leave. You may go somewhere else, but New Orleans will always be in your soul and your heart. It's just really amazing how that the city just kind of grabs a hold of you.
It does. It really does.
So let's talk about the Ghost Town Terror. It was 2 seasons, and it was in Anaconda, Montana, I believe. Okay.
That's right.
And that's close to Butte.
Yes.
Okay. So I was talking with Dave Schrader when he was on my show they did the Ghost of Devil's Perch in Butte.
Yep.
And then, I was talking to him about you and how, about the Ghost Town Terror. I said, Butte has all kinds, they did a lot of shows out of there. I said, I was just thinking, Butte just has the brothel.
So for me, there's so many layers when you talk about Butte and Anaconda. Yes, you have the properties, the homes, the brothel, the mining, right? And then you have the land, right? So then you have the land that is very different. It's the only place with an acid lake, literally an acid lake.
Wow.
So this is the land itself is hurting. Like, I don't know how else to explain it, but if you're empathic at all, you feel it. And then you have the people who have experienced things that, we all have our own trauma and drama.
It had a lot of layers from the owner who, she felt like, doing something to herself every day. And then her name Karen, the lady that lived, Karen and her kids. And it was just the way she would change. And to me, she was different the second season than the first. And why do you think that was?
Well, I mean, time changes us, information changes us. You know what I mean? So like, and experiences change us.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think she had things that shifted and changed her. I think, I can't assume.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I think just from experiences and things that she had learned, changed her.
Yeah, because it seemed like for a while there that she had a problem letting go her past and things that affected her negatively. And y'all just kept on and just, and finally she just, I think, just accepted it. And on the second season, it was like she was more calm and more in charge of her emotions and stuff was what I got.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And so I know she appreciates all what y'all did to help her get to that place, because when the psychic artist, when she drew that picture and they said that looked like her ex-boyfriend, that was like the whole show shifted for a while there. Did. Yeah. And the kids walked in, that looks like, I can't remember the guy's name, and then like immediately they knew who that was. And another thing I liked about the show was that stands out to me was when Tim was, going down into that deep hole, and then you were feeling what he was feeling. You were at the house, at Karen's house, and you were feeling what he was feeling when he was down there. Yeah. Like literally inside that big, I don't know what to call it, hole, crater, whatever it was.
No, it's a hole. That's what we call it, the hole.
The hole, yeah. In the mountain. Do you know how deep that was? Because the way that it went, it was pretty far.
Yeah, and the second season, he actually goes down into that hole again, because he tried going down in the first season and only could get so far, and they called it. They were like, it's unsafe, get him out.
Right.
The second season, we had different harnesses, a different team, and he was actually able to go all the way down. But what was really weird, to be honest with you, was my connection to the hole.
Yeah.
So when I came on the property, before I even got on the property, I drew where I knew there was a hole. There was something that went deep into the earth, and I knew there was something to do with that area that would be connected to the ghost town itself. And it was weird how I was accurate. I had no idea. I just saw it. And then we had all these experiences.
Now, I noticed that, do you do this all the time? Like you keep a journal with you at all times, like to jot down some things that that's coming to you?
Not all the time, but most of the time, because I like to because sometimes things come in and it doesn't make sense. Mm-hmm. Like to me, it doesn't make sense at all, because I don't understand what it's connected to. So I might see something and jot it down. I might hear something and jot it down, because I don't know what it means. I just know it's part of a sentence or it's part of a picture.
And it'll show up. Like what I always say, like if I'm doing a reading or something and you say something and I kind of look at you like, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I always say, put that on a shelf.
Yep.
And it'll come to you, and then they'll come back and they'll say, hey, I remember, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. Because you're so caught up in the moment that, your mind's going here and there, the people who are getting the reading, and, it's hard for them to think of Great Aunt Sally or whoever, that's wanting to come through to say something. They're like, no. But, and then they're like, oh, yeah, I remember. So that's always just to be verified, validated is all, it's cool.
I think, too, because our clients are emotional, right? So we're sharing emotional stuff. We're not sharing boring stuff. We're sharing very emotional stuff.
Right.
So sometimes you go, I have your aunt here. And someone will say, I don't have an aunt. Okay, I have your dad's sister here. Yeah, Aunt Susie.
Right.
Literally, like you just told them their aunt was here, but they're like, no, I don't have an aunt. Like,
right, okay.
And you're just like, so you're like, okay, let's, I get it. This is a lot, this can be emotional.
Oh, yeah. And they're coming to you for answers.
Yes.
And I think anytime that you're able to give that to someone, that peace. And I always say that giving a reading or being a medium isn't just for the living.
No,
It's also for the dead to have peace sometimes too.
I believe that so heartedly that I literally say that I work for the dead. I don't work for the living. That my goal is to be available for those on the other side, to be their voice as best I can be. I'm not perfect. I'm not going to pretend I am, but I do my very best to bring through their messages because I believe that's important.
Oh yeah, because if to me, if anyone's 100% right all the time, that's I kind of like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, you're human, of course,
That's right.
So I mean, but the proof's in the pudding, and you're successful, and So that's to me longevity, having a great reputation and a great name. That's everything, especially if you're a medium. So what do you do to relax?
Oh, what a great question. So on my downtime, I love to be in nature. I love to, because it quiets for me. I don't know about you, but when I'm out in nature, everything gets kind of quiet for me. So I love to be out in nature, and I love to travel. I absolutely love to travel.
The nature is kind of calming, and it kind of gets you back to your
Yeah,
roots, and kind of centers you
yeah,
to that way that when you go back to do your readings or
yep,
investigating, you have that peace that you can start off with. Because if
absolutely.
you go into an investigation and you're like all upset or stressed out, you're not going to
Yep.
have a good results.
No, I completely agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, having my intention before I go into an investigation and cleansing myself after investigation is important. So having those tools is also very important to me so that I can be the best psychic medium I can be. The other thing is I don't want to know anything, and I mean
Right.
that.
Right.
So producers on television know this, that I am to know nothing, to the point where I'll fly into a city but have no clue where I'm going. And I won't know until someone picks me up.
One of my best friends, Carrie Roy, she's the New Orleans psychic medium, and she
Oh,
was
wow.
and she was on Portals to Hell.
Okay.
Yeah, when they were in Hot Springs, Arkansas, doing the Malco Theater, she was their guest psychic. Yeah, and that's she said, and a lot of people they want to say, oh, it's fake, and they're just doing stuff for ratings, and they're coming up with, they have somebody over there knocking and all that, and I know that it's not that way. You know that it's not that way. And I think that people talk like that because, number one, they don't really understand what's going on. And sometimes people act like that because they're scared.
I agree with you.
Yeah. And so
They don't want it to be true because what if it is?
Yeah. Because then they have to kind of look at themselves.
Yep.
Kind of, it's a mirror.
And beliefs and,
Yeah.
and all that. Yeah. I completely agree with you.
And the way that people were raised,
Yep.
that spirits are, it's no such thing, or spirits are bad, or you're crazy if you see that.
Yep.
And so you have that kind of inbred or just own you, and then you
Yep.
get older and you're like, wait, that's you have to go along. Some people think they have to go along with what they were taught, whether it's right or wrong.
Yep.
And so my point was, Carrie, she was telling me that they just told her, we're flying you to Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Yep.
And that was it. And she said they put her in the hotel, and she didn't know nothing, came and picked
Yep.
her up, and she didn't even know where she was going, nothing, until they drove up to the theater. And she, she's never heard of that. And I mean, just amazing. I'm just so proud of her because she's such a,
that's awesome.
yeah, and she does such a great, she has such a great reputation here in New Orleans, and so when they called her, I was just really just so excited for her.
Yeah.
So you're talking about protecting yourself.
Yeah.
Now, do you have children?
I do.
Okay, and so does any of them you think are gifted?
Yeah. So my daughter is very psychic. She's
Okay.
extremely psychic. And my son is very much an amazing medium. So they kind of got, my daughter's got more of the psychic way of things, and my son definitely has more of the mediumship.
That's pretty cool. Now, where do you think that you got your gift from, or whom?
My mom,
Okay.
and then I would say my grandmothers on both sides of my family.
Okay.
So great grandmother on both sides of my family.
The grandmother kind of triggered, I'm supposed to say hello or wanting to say hello to you from someone you may know. Cheyenne Dicey, you know her from, yes, Kook. When I told her you were going to be on my show, and she's like, "Oh, I love Sarah." You know, she was so excited for me. Yeah,
good people.
She has such a great heart, and the reason that I was saying the grandmother part kind of triggered me, to remind me, I should say, to say hello to you from
Yes.
her, was because I went, and Brandon did too. Anyway, she did this altar to great grandmothers,
Oh.
and it was such a wonderful thing. And what you did was you go and you write your great grandmother's name, and you thank her for how you are today.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I got chills just now just talking about it. Yeah, and she said some people, they don't even know their great grandmother's name.
Yep.
And so there was a lot of people there, and they would go into the altar, and then you would write, and then you would put it up on like a little tree or something, and just to to pay homage to your great grandmother. And I was like, that is so kook to to think outside the box, I should say. And I mean, I don't think about, great grandmother. I knew her just for a little bit, but like to say, and I was like, you know what? She's right, because that lineage of the gift being passed down, she had it too. And so I don't know. I don't know why it just gives me chills whenever I think about that. Yeah, it's great. And it was a real good time. And so where do you see yourself?
Right now I'm really focused. Might seem silly to some, but I'm really focused on my TikTok channel. Growing my TikTok channel, connecting, because it's a place where I give messages from the other side. So I don't do readings like when you come to me, right? Mm-hmm. When you come to me, I speak, I'll speak to anybody you want to talk to. But when I do it on my TikTok channel, I really am enjoying just doing spirit-led, beautiful spirit-led. I'm also really wanting to do some touring and do more of platform mediumship and get out there and be able to give messages. It's something that's really calling to my heart right now. It's really calling to my heart.
So what you're wanting to do is kind of go like to do a crowd reading, like you walk on stage and you're like, get whatever that's picked up and then, know who that it's for. And I really think that is so amazing to be able to do that, because some mediums, they only want to do like one at a time.
Yeah.
Because you have 2 or 3 people there, and then you have everybody, great grandmother, everybody coming in at one time. And then you're like, oh, does this go to this one or that one? And, so I can see where that would be, but that would be amazing. And of course, put New Orleans down on that. And, for you to do that would be so cool. I like that.
Thank you. Yeah. I appreciate that. I just really want to be able to share the gift and do it in a manner that I can touch more people, because a lot of times too, when you're on platform, we call it platform mediumship. When you're on the platform, you can do dual messages. So sometimes you'll have a message for 2 people at the same time. It's really cool. And I just love it. I just love sharing the gift. I love sharing the gift.
And see, that's great, because like I was saying when we first started, talking to you, how that you took what you needed when you were younger, trying to make sure that anybody that seeks out your help, that they don't have to feel that way, that they're not alone.
They're not alone. Yeah. That's my main thing, is I don't want people to feel alone. In the paranormal, I do not want people to feel alone. In metaphysics, I do not want people to feel alone. Be it someone who chases UFOs to chasing Bigfoot to chasing ghosts. I don't want people to feel alone. We all feel alone sometimes, sure. But I don't, there is a place for everyone. There's a place for everyone.
Right. And I wish more people were like you and, have that same philosophy. I'm really big on an advocate for mentorship. or maybe not an expert, but you have a lot of knowledge in a field, then I think because you're given a gift, that it is only right that you share it.
I agree.
That's how I feel. And what, I'm sorry,
Beautiful.
what is that purple thing behind you?
That is my beautiful amethyst. It's one of my
Oh,
amethysts that I own. It's one of my favorite stones. It works great with the third eye, so it's helpful to have here in my office.
it's not in the forefront, but it's like a visual, like your eyes automatically go there. And I'm like, what is
Yes.
that? But yeah, I don't think I've ever seen one that big. That's a pretty,
Yeah, it's beautiful.
yeah. Oh, did you get it like at a store or like a special place or?
There was a store that I found along the beach many, many years ago. And I said, one day I will work in that store.
Mm-hmm.
And no joke, I had the opportunity to give readings in the store. And inside the store was that beautiful crystal. And I said, one day I will own that. Now, it took years. Okay.
Oh.
So we're talking years. But I said, one day I will own it. And one of my dear friends ended up buying the store and they were selling it. They were selling the store. And I remember her posting, we're selling the store. And I panicked.
Oh yeah.
And I reached out to her and said, oh my gosh, did you sell the amethyst? And she said, not yet. And I said, I'm buying it. So, yep, she came home with me.
I don't know. It just draws you to it. You know,
It does.
like,
It
yeah.
pulls you in.
Yeah, it does. Do you want to write another book?
You know, that's a really good question. I focus so much of my time and attention on my mentoring and teaching programs that I think that if I honestly wrote a book, it would be what I teach so that my students could have a manual, an actual book manual. I think that I don't think anything, but I feel that, you know, at some point I will also write my stories, like write down the experiences I've had in all the different locations around the world.
Let's get back to Morgan City.
Let's do it.
All right. Did you try crawfish? Have you had crawfish before you went there, or did you have some in Morgan City, or you don't like it, or?
You know, I would love to try crawfish. I'm allergic to shrimp.
Oh, okay.
And so I have this thing in my head now
Okay.
that anything from the ocean is going to try to kill me. And so we have crawdads. We call them crawdads here in Oregon. And I grew up, my dad and I would catch crawdads and we would eat them. But when I was in Louisiana, I didn't want to die. So I was like, you know, I'm just going to, just in case, just not have one right now. So, but they look incredible. And I love how everybody sucks the heads and the whole nine. But yeah, it's just too dangerous.
They'll probably kick me out of the state, but I don't eat crawfish.
You don't?
No, I like eat the corn and the sausage and
Yeah.
whatever they put the mushrooms. Oh my God, I love the mushrooms when they do that.
Yeah.
But like the crawfish, like I'll peel them for my wife, you know, and
That's
you know,
so
kind of
awesome.
help, you know, kind of help her out and peel them. But I don't know. But I know
They look like bugs.
yeah, and it's not like the looks of them or anything. Like in my case, it's just I don't know. I like shrimp.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably some
That's
crazy.
interesting.
Yeah, it's probably some crazy something, you know. But
I love it.
yeah. So, but I'm sure you've had jambalaya and gumbo.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. I've been blessed with visiting Louisiana. So after I filmed Ghosts of Morgan City, I came back to Louisiana over and over again.
Wow. Okay.
I came back to do readings and I came back to visit families. And so I was blessed with a lot of delicious food.
So, do you act any, or like in a theater, or?
That's funny. Actually, how did you know? Yeah.
Well-
So I did. Yeah, that's funny. I did some theater when I was younger. It was something that I really loved. I've always loved working in the theaters. I love ghost hunting in theaters, anything
Yes.
tied to an old theater.
That's one of my goals. Like, I would love to own like one of those old timey theaters, and then have like community plays and all kind of
Yes.
stuff. I mean, I think that would be so cool. Like, and when they go in and restore, like
Yeah, that's my favorite.
it is so beautiful and just
I agree with you.
yeah, and just to me, like the ambiance of it, like you walk in and
Yes.
it's like it's a different feeling.
There's a respect there. It's
Yeah,
interesting. Even as a child, I remember how I respected the theater. And then going into theater myself, I gained even more respect for theater. And now as a paranormal investigator, I have a different type of respect for theater.
and I think it's cool that they leave that light on.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's called the ghost light. Is that correct?
Yep,
Or
it
and
is.
that
Or the ghost lantern, depending. Yeah.
yeah, and then it's on for like if the spirits like I'm trying to remember like if the spirits want to perform or like do they all do that? Is that like a
There, I know that in Salem, where I'm from, they
mhm.
do still keep the light on. So they still have the light on. So I don't know if all theaters do it, but I know a lot of historic theaters do.
Yeah, I just think that would be so cool to just be in
Yeah.
that fabric of just that feeling and seeing the renovations and oh
Yeah.
my god. See, I haven't investigated in a theater and I
Oh,
think
you've
that
got
it
to.
oh, I would probably just stand there for 20 minutes being so I don't know, overwhelmed, not in a bad way, but just so thankful or something to be able
Yep.
to to be able to get to do that, that would be amazing. So, which can you tell me maybe a couple that you've investigated?
One of the ones that I investigated was in Georgia. I did with Katrina and Jack, actually. We
Okay.
did a theater there, and man, was that place active. But it also it had a fire, and it is interesting
Yes.
how many theaters that have burned down they rebuilt.
Yeah.
Um, and this theater they had, and so it had a lot of history and a lot of sadness.
Yeah, because I noticed like a lot of times whenever on the shows when they're investigating a theater and then about 8 times out of 10 it's been a fire.
Yeah.
Been a fire there and just tragedies or people dying and actresses coming back to being where that they're familiar with.
In a place where you're celebrated, right?
Yeah,
I mean, if you think about it, it's a good feeling. It's a
yeah,
good feeling to be celebrated, to have an ovation and to be, honored for your craft. So I can see why, at least I kind of understand why they would come back for that.
because to me that's more of a in-person thing because like you do shows and people are just looking at us and then we can't see them. But the theater, you are like it's so personal
It is.
to be on the stage and you can feel the admiration and you can feel the love and the laughter and the sadness and no wonder they're haunted because
Yeah.
it's so much emotion that's all bottled up in one place and I just think it's beautiful. Quest, a journey into true crime and the paranormal, is sponsored by the following. Chef Ron's Gumbo Stop right in Metairie. If you want award-winning gumbo, well, you need to go to an award-winning chef, Chef Ron, and has the best gumbo and just so many different things on his menu: jambalaya, fried chicken, po' boys. Believe me, you won't leave there hungry because it's really a great place to eat. We are also sponsored by the Haunted Hotel on Ursulines. And if you would like to go and stay at a haunted place, go to hauntedhotelnola.com and book your room. And believe me, you will not be disappointed because I have personally stayed there a few times overnight and yeah, it's definitely haunted. Make sure you mark your calendars for March the 23rd. New Iberia is having their very own Paracon. It's called Cajun Country Paracon. We are also a sponsor of their Paracon, and you'll be able to come and we'll be up there. We'll have a table. They have a lot of big name paranormal people in the paranormal field, paranormal stars, celebrities. You really won't want to miss that. You can go on to Eventbrite and get they have a few VIP tickets left, and that way you can go on to a investigation that night with a paranormal celebrity. So I'm really looking forward to that. And also, Louisiana Pizza Kitchen Uptown. Every Wednesday is Friends and Family Night. My favorite is all adult beverages are half off, even bottles of wine. So, I mean, it's a Carrollton and St. Charles. You don't want to miss it. It's a wonderful place. They're even open on Sundays and have mimosas and Bloody Marys. So be sure to check out Louisiana Pizza Kitchen Uptown and Area 51 Gallery. Rocket, he makes these pins. He can make your business merch, anything that you need, something for your crew, your business. Be sure to reach out to Rocket at Area 51 Gallery.
A lot of times people ask, why are lighthouses haunted? It's like, well, because of the ocean. There's energy there to be used. If you think about a theater, even the ones that are currently in use, people are watching movies that make them angry. People are watching movies that make them sad. People are watching movies that, and you're in a theater, you're watching a play that makes you hurt and it makes you happy. And, so I feel that spirit can use that.
Well, I am counting down the days to March the 23rd for the Paracon. I am just I talk about it all the time, about getting to meet you and Dave, and I've met Jeremy and Shane, and I'm just, Brandon will be there, my wife will be there also, and just to get to meet you in person. I'm really looking forward to it, and just seeing everyone, and just, this is my first one, so to be in the community and just being a part of it is such an honor for me. And so I'm just looking forward to it, to seeing you and everything. So, it's going to be a good time. And Marcy and Louisiana Spirits are such a great group. And, I think, because me personally, I have such a love and a respect for the paranormal. And I just love just about everything about the field. Yeah. And what happens is I'm so excited that there's like-minded people. And to be in a place with so many like-minded people at one time, I mean, it's going to be great.
Yeah. And again, I think there's, a level of acceptance, that we accept each other on a different level that maybe we don't get at work, or we don't get at school, or we don't get, in normal day-to-day life. You're able to share those pieces of you that, you may not share with everybody.
And I think, that really sums it up, being comfortable and, just enjoying, I love getting to do this show, and I love getting to investigate and just to be there with people that's doing what they love. I mean, I just think that's great.
Yeah.
And so I just want to thank you so much for being a guest tonight on my show, and I hope you'll join us again. And
I would love to.
Yeah. And we would love to have you back. So everybody, Sarah Lemos, be sure to check her out. It's mediumsarahlemos.com.
Yeah.
And you'll find out all about her. And I think you've probably found out a lot about her tonight. Thank you for joining us in the episode, and see you next week.